Hello everyone, and it's a great pleasure for me to be here during this webinar, and we are going to start just right now. So let me share my screen. And first of all, we are going to briefly talk about our today's session. So what we are going to discuss. And again, my name is Roman, I'm working in ACE Lab, and probably for those of you who are already using our technical support, we already meet with you, or probably we meet with you during ACE Lab conferences in Europe, in Asia, so probably we already meet with you. Today with me there would be George, our technical support engineer, a very experienced tutor for ACE Lab training courses. He's a very good engineer in NAND recovery and in hard disk drive recovery. So he will assist me and he will continue with the topic regarding the hard disk drive during this event. And so let's get started. What we are going to talk today. First of all, we are going to speak about the difference between data recovery companies and repair shop. What is the most valuable for customer? Repair or data recovery. We're going to talk about the data recovery in repair shop, what could be done to make your repair shop into data recovery and how you can expand your business. Also, we're going to tell about the myths about data recovery. Also, we will talk about the different solutions to enhance your business and make it more large and more efficient. And of course, we're going to show you some real-life cases that will help you to understand how PC3000 technology could be helpful in your real-life cases when you are talking about, when we are working in PC repair shop. Because you know that, of course, PC3000 equipment allows you to do a lot of things, but we will try to provide you some interesting information how exactly PC3000 technology might be helpful in PC repair shop, because I'm sure that you will right now or probably in future already get a lot of cases that you are not able to solve, and these cases are pretty typical, especially for PC repair shops. So we will show you how our technology might be useful for you. And again, I will as I mentioned before, this webinar is focused on those people who just start their own data recovery business or who is the owner of PC repair shop. Of course, if you have a lot of experience with PC3000, probably this webinar is not very useful for you, because probably you will need some more advanced topics. But anyway, I think that it will be pretty useful for most of the customers and most of the members of our webinar. And right now, let's talk a bit about the PC repair shops. Of course, ACE Lab has a lot of experience with such companies, such computer repair shops who already become the data recovery companies. And during our conversation with them, we already try to understand what is the most valuable for customer who bring their electronic devices in such shops. For example, there could be some typical situation when someone bring you the laptop and this laptop is damaged. So what is more valuable, the data which is located on the laptop or the laptop itself? In most of the cases, of course, if the laptop is pretty expensive, it's always pretty bad to lose the working condition of your computer. But the data which could be inside this laptop could be much more valuable than the hardware part of the laptop. And of course, a huge number of customers who bring your PC repair shop some real cases, they want to get data as well as repair their computer. And again, there are a lot of people who would like to not just repair the laptop or probably smartphone or probably his computer, but also get the data back, because again, there could be a lot of valuable information which is storing on the drive which is located inside the computer. And there could be a lot of different storage media in your lab, because it could be a classic computer PC, the desktop computer. It could be a pretty new laptop with M.2 NVMe SSD. It could be some kind of a pretty complex RAID structure, some kind of a server PC, which contain a lot of hard disk drive inside. And in case of some kind of a hardware corruption, there is a real problem of getting data back from this complex structure. And that's why you need a pretty good solution how to repair it. Of course, if the problem located only in the hardware component of your customer laptop or computer, it's not a big problem, because you always can try to remove the drive, you can connect it to your working computer and try to get the data back. But sometimes, and these cases actually are not rare, they're pretty popular. Sometimes there could be this situation when the laptop would be damaged and the drive which is located inside also would be damaged. It could happen due to the some kind of water corruption, or probably when someone dropped the water on the keyboard of your laptop, of customer laptop, or there could be another problem related to the mechanical or electronical components of the internal drive and computer, and it's a real problem. But again, the number of different storage media is growing up, and right now when someone bring some damaged drive or damaged computer into your repair PC shop, you will never know what exactly inside this computer, because it could be SSD, it could be a classical hard disk drive or something else. And another popular problem that usually you may face with, it's a deleted data, because usually customers really like to delete their important files suddenly. It could be a formatted drives, and previously it was not a big trouble to recover such drives which were quick formatted. But now we'll talk about it later. Things become more complex, and when you are facing with such formatted drive, it becomes not so easy to get the data, because data could be hidden from you. Also, a pretty popular problem when drive is not detected in operating system, because again, let's imagine that someone bring you the laptop, you disconnect the drive, connect it to your working computer, but it's not visible in operating system, it's not visible in BIOS, and what you are going to do in this case. And firmware issues, of course, because modern drives, they are very complex internally, and they contain a very complex internal firmware. And in case of firmware corruption, this drive become not working, and it's not possible to, if you don't have a proper equipment, in most of the cases you simply refuse the case. Or probably you can outsource the case and say, all right, not a problem, I will give you a contact of my friend who is working in data recovery lab, and he will guide you with the damaged hard disk drive or damaged SSD. Or in case if the drive contains some simple logic corruptions, you can recover some small portion of data from such drive, but it would be not a complete data recovery, and probably customer who bring you his damaged laptop or damaged computer will faced with the situation that not all data become recovered. And of course, sometimes this data could be very specific or probably very important for him. And again, he will need to ask data recovery lab to recover the data, and this case will go not directly to you, but to another data recovery company. And of course, right now, outsourcing of cases isn't a good idea, because again, we are starting to facing with the situation when the data is very important and it's not possible simply to get the drive from the customer and outsource it to another company, because this drive may contain some very important private data. Of course, you need to sign a lot of digital and common papers to protect the data leakage from third-party company. And again, this case could be recovered by you. The only problem is that you don't have a proper tool. And as an option, your data recovery company may appear from a common PC shop, because PC repair shop, because you can try to increase the number of your service. You can add also a data recovery service, and you can earn more money, because actually data recovery is a very profitable thing. And if you are using a good marketing, if you have a lot of if you have a tight flow of different cases, it's a real very good way to expand your business and make bigger on your local market, and get simply more cases, especially regarding the data recovery. And of course, data recovery is very exciting, because for example, I can say that when I was young, I'm also starting from the PC repairing, but I can say that when I start to work with data recovery company, when I start to work in AceLab, I found that, of course, data recovery is very interesting and very exciting. And if you are ready to study more, if you are ready to jump into a new business, probably you should think about the opportunity to expand your business and also become a data recovery company. So now let's talk about the mythbusters about the data recovery sphere, about the data recovery. So first of all is that someone say that professional data recovery is always expensive, because you need to prepare your lab, you need to prepare some donor drives, you need to invest a lot into trainings, into technical support, into equipment, of course. But we can say that it's only partially true, because first of all, when you are trying to start your own data recovery business, AceLab can provide you a lot of different flexible price offers and a lot of different discounts to force your data recovery business start on. Also, we can say that when you are not data recovery company and when you are just a PC repair shop, you will refuse a lot of profitable cases which can bring you a lot of money. And of course, you will lose a huge opportunity to earn more. And of course, when you will start your own data recovery business, when it will be launched, it will be much more easy for you to get more money from the cases that you are recovering during your practice. And of course, the AceLab, the technical support of AceLab may help you. Another myth is that professional data recovery in-house is difficult. But again, we can say that it's difficult only for beginner in the beginning. But after that, when you are starting to work with the tool, when you are starting to read an articles, when you start to talk with another data recovery engineer, when you join the data recovery community, you will see that actually it's not so complex, because the steps that you usually should do are the same. The main principle of data recovery between different types of storage media is pretty similar. If you know how, for example, if you know how to recover just a single solid state drive, you already know how to recover them all, because the steps that you need to do with the solid state drive to recover information would be the same between different brands and controllers. Probably just a little bit different, but again, AceLab technical support and online and offline trainings will help you to study more, will help you to get answers on your questions, and of course it will help you to become a real data recovery engineer with a huge experience. We also provide some interesting articles in our blog, in our forum. We got our YouTube channel. for self-learning. And again, there is a huge community which usually ready to share some ideas, some knowledge about data recovery, and you can study yourself. And actually, the thousands of computer engineers who previously owned the PC repair shop business already become the data recovery engineers. And if they can do that, I think you all can do the same. And again, if you still prefer to become just a PC repair shop, it's okay, because probably you can do a lot of different cases. You really love to work with the hardware part of the computers or the laptop. You enjoy to be in the hardware sphere, and it's okay. But just in case if you are planning to expand your business, if you are planning to grow up or probably make your company bigger, data recovery sphere is another level for you, which will help you to jump more higher. And myth number 3, you need an additional engineer. Actually, we can say that it's not so important, because you can study by yourself. You can get a lot of information from our sources, from our technical support department, and you can, let's say, outsource your cases for ASLab technical support, because our technical support provides you a remote control. It means that you can simply connect the damaged hard disk drive to your computer with install PC3000, and after that you can simply share the TeamViewer details for us, and our engineer will connect to your computer and will help you to get the data. Probably you will need an additional working place, like additional computer or laptop with internet connection, but in general it's not so complex right now, because the requirements for the hardware part of PC3000 aren't so high, and absolutely any more or less modern computer will be acceptable for PC3000 installation. So you can pretty effectively work by yourself for both parts of PC repairing and data recovery, especially if there are not so amazingly much cases in your lab for data recovery. And again, another myth is that you need an extra workplace. But again, we can say that PC3000 technology is pretty flexible for beginners and for those who just want to start the data recovery business. You don't need to buy a lot of equipment, because you just need a good computer or laptop, you need PC3000 tool, and you just need probably some basic parts like screwdriver, like screwdriver set, like scalpel, tweezers, and some other things. We already write some interesting articles on our blog, which can help you to understand what exactly you need to purchase for your data recovery lab. And again, sometimes, if, for example, you are not planning to change the heads of inside the hard disk drive, or you would like to focus only on firmware repair on the hard disk drive, you cannot spend a lot of money for laminar boxes, for clean rooms, or for donors. You can focus on those problems that could be fixed without the hardware opening of the hard disk drive. And again, such cases like the damaged firmware, damaged translator are pretty typical for modern life, because a lot of cases like that, when we don't need to exchange the heads or open the hard disk drive, are pretty popular in our technical support department. And especially if you're working with the solid state drives, you actually don't need almost anything. Maybe you will need some infrared station or hot air gun station if some damaged electronic component will arise in the SSD PCB, but in general, such small data recovery lab doesn't require a lot of investment from your side. And finally, some people think that they can do a recovery with software or imaging tools, which are not software hardware tools, just the software tools, but we can say that right now the internal complexity of the drive's firmware become really high, and the internal structure of drives become very complex. And unfortunately, without the proper tool, you may even damage the drive, especially if you are using just a simple imager, and when the drive contains some problem with head, or probably when it contains some issue connected with the translator, you can simply kill your drive that you are working on, and you will lose it forever. That's why it's very important to understand what's exactly wrong with your drive that you are working with. What is the reason of drive corruption and how you can fix it. All this knowledge you will get from the drive diagnostic and from the tool that you are going to work with, professional tools, and this information will keep your drive to be saved, and there would be a 100% warranty that you will not going to kill anything in this case. So regarding the simple cases, previously when we talk with some engineers from data recovery labs, they usually tell that difficult cases they could recover with PC3000 technology, but some easy cases that are not so complex, they usually recover using the software imagers and less powerful solutions. But right now we can say that modern cases become more and more complex. I already mentioned that before. The firmware of the drive become more and more complex. And if you will try to get, for example, a modern hard disk drive with a simple, quick formatting, you will find only zeros inside. So any imager will not recover any single data from such drive because the data become hidden on the firmware level. And without the firmware effect, without the firmware researching, it will be not possible for you to get the data. Previously it was possible, but when the new drives, when the new technology appear on the market, when the shingle magnetic drive appear on the market, even such a simple problem become very complex. And without PC3000, it will be not possible for you to get the data, unfortunately. And of course, a few words about competition. Of course, we can say that right now the data recovery market contains a lot of different companies who provide the services for data recovery. But we can say the same about any profitable fields that makes money, because if the field is not makes money, usually there is no competition inside it. But again, marketing may seriously help you. And if you are a really good engineer, if you really love what you are doing, I'm sure that you will be able to reach the top, and you would be able to become a pretty successful data recovery company. I can say that maybe 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, it was not a big problem to be a data recovery company, because a lot of cases will flow to you by default. You shouldn't be, let's say, very interesting in searching the cases. All cases simply drop on you like a rain. But right now, market become changed. Need to make more advertisement probably. Maybe you need to spend more on marketing, but data recovery sphere is still full of real data cases. And with this sphere, it's still possible to get a really good money. Just need to put some force on it. And again, we can say that the next step for any PC repair shop is a PC repair shop with data recovery service, because there are a lot of cases that are not possible to repair using the software images, using the cheapest tool, but possible to do with the professional tool. Of course, it requires some investment from your side, but in the end, it will bring you more money and will help your recovery, will help your company to become a big data recovery company and will help you to expand your business. That's why we can say that a lot of our existing customers previously were simply PC computer shop engineers, but right now, using our equipment, they become a real data recovery guru who contains a lot of experience and knowledge about data recovery. So, what we can say about PC 3000 tools? Actually, we got a few of them, and 3 of our main tools were made for HDD and SSD data recovery, and it's actually up to you. When you will start your own data recovery business, it's not important to you to buy the most expensive device, because if you just want to start your data recovery business and see how it will move on, how it will increase the money in your company, you can start with more simple tools like PC 3000 UDMA for hard disk drive or PC 3000 Flash for NAND-based storage media. If you will have a lot of hard disk drive in your lab, probably it's a good thing to think about PC 3000 Express purchasing. But if you would like to recover all type of cases, including the SSD drives, hard disk drive, of course, we recommend you to use PC 3000 Portable Pro as the most universal device in PC 3000 product line. And this device is really unique because it allows you to work with almost all existing type of storage media. It allows you to work with almost all type of existing SSDs, hard disk drive, including the SAS drives, including the drives with old PATA and new SATA interface. It allows you to work with RAID. It allows you to work with various type of SSDs, and it's really amazingly useful and universal device for any data recovery lab. And the main idea of PC 3000 technology is that we can work with both types of the issues, with physical damages and with logical damages. If the drive is not detectable in operating system BIOS, if the drive contains damaged heads, when there is some kind of a firmware corruption inside the hard disk drive or SSD, when the drive stays in busy, when it's not working or probably not rotating, all these problems could be traced by PC 3000, and you can try to fix the drive in case if it contains one of these issues. When we talk about the logic damages, of course, we should keep in mind that such problems like deleted files, formatted drives, damaged file systems are also not a problem for PC 3000, because again, using PC 3000 technology, you will get the maximum opportunities of data recovery. You would be able to recover the data from the widest number of different issues, which is one of the main advantage of PC 3000 technology. And for those of you who don't have an opportunity to invest a lot in data recovery, we can recommend you our 2 tools. It's PC 3000 UDMA with SSD set and PC 3000 Express with SSD set. Actually, these 2 devices are pretty effective, and they perfectly made for hard disk drive recovery and for SATA SSD recovery. Of course, due to the technology limitation, unfortunately, these tools are not able to work with NVMe PCI Express drives. Only PC 3000 Portable can do that. But for drive diagnostic, for SSD, SATA SSD recovery and hard disk drive recovery, UDMA and Express are the best tool. And again, using these tools, it would be possible for you to fix the drive firmware, to disable damaged heads, to copy the data by healthy heads, which is pretty good sometimes, because imagine that you have a drive based on helium technology, which is filled by helium inside. It's not an atmospheric drive like classic Western Digital or Seagate drive, but it's a helium drive. And it's not possible for you to open it. Actually, just a few data recoveries in the world can open the helium drives because you need to you need to use a special equipment to cut the upper side of the drive. But with the PC4000, you can try to fix the drive firmware, or probably in case if the drive contains some problem with the heads, you can disable the head in utility and make a copy of data from healthy heads. And this approach will help you to get probably not 100% of data, but focus on those data which is the most important for customer. And without any drive opening, without any heads exchange, there would be an opportunity to get most of the data by healthy heads, which is pretty good, especially if you are dealing with hard disk drives. And of course, you shouldn't forget that if you are a new company and you just start your data recovery business, AceLab provides 1 year of free technical support and updates, which is very valuable for beginners. Our technical support includes a personal help, so we got a CRM system where you can raise up the ticket, describe your problem, leave your team your details, and our engineers will remotely connect to your computer and will use our hands and our experience to control your PC4000 and repair your hard disk drive or SSD. Also, this year will include updates to keep your PC4000 to be updated and get the latest features and opportunities and latest list of the supported devices. So this 1 year could be very useful, especially when you are just starting to work with PC4000 technology. So we are not leave you alone, we will guide you. And important thing is that PC4000 will keep working even without technical support. So if you are not buying the updates or you are not buying the technical support department, your PC4000 will not going to be blocked. You will still be able to work with it and recover the cases which were in your data recovery lab. Sometimes if your lab doesn't have a lot of hard disk drive, for example, the latest models, and you get just pretty old models, so probably technical support is not too important for you, and you can keep working with old software version and solve the same number of issues that you've been solved with technical support. And now we are going to start our practical case. We are going to show you how PC4000 technology is working. And right now I will pass my word to George, our technical support engineer and tutor of AceLab. He will show you how PC4000 technology is working with real-life cases. So we're going to make just a 10-second break because we need to switch the screen. Let me do that.
Thank you, Roman. Hello, guys. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you. It's a great pleasure to be part of this, let's say, presentation or demo, call it as you want. So my name is George. I'm technical support engineer and instructor in AceLab. I'm working here for almost 6 years. And today, as Roman said, I would like to present you how you can work with hard disk drives with different interfaces and what actually you can do with PC3000 software, hardware features. So the first case that I would like to show you today will be a pretty popular case, something like this. So this is Western Digital external hard disk drive. This one is not brand new, it's not bought yesterday or something like this. It is the drive that we are using in our office for some time. So this is just the external hard disk drive, and the problem that you can face when you work with such external drives is that because of it is external, there could be some physical problems connected with the heads, because internal structure of the hard disk drives are very, very complicated, very, very complex. And each time when you kick the drive, when you put it into your bag, into your backpack or something like this, you can damage something inside. And the next time when you turn on the drive, it may not be detected in your operating system, it may not be detected in your PC at all, or it can be just like pretty slow, pretty not normal working stuff can happen with the drive. So, and another, I would not say an issue, but the situation that you can end up is that because this is the external hard disk drive, it has not the SATA interface, but it has the USB interface. And for guys who are only starting their data recovery career, their data recovery business, let's say, yeah, you can face the problem that you need to buy the additional PCB, or you need to try to convert the USB PCB to SATA interface in order to work with different tools. But with PC3000 software, hardware, or options, it is possible to work even with such cases without needing to unsolder anything, without needing to swap the PCB or something like this. So that's why this is the first case that I want to show you. So I am connecting this Western Digital external drive to USB host port on our PC3000 Portable Pro system, and starting sharing my screen for you to demonstrate what we can do with that. So give me a second, please. First of all, what I would like to show you is that when you are installing the PC3000 Portable Pro software, you have two options. You can use easy mode and you can use full feature mode. Easy mode is the perfect mode and the perfect opportunity for beginners, for those guys who are only starting their career in data recovery field. And this is the best option to diagnose the drive and to understand if you need to do some additional steps, or you can just proceed further and start the copying or imaging process of your case. So let's first of all connect the drive and check its behavior in our easy mode. So I'm launching the easy mode of our tool, and just to be sure, I'm using USB host port. So I'm not changing the PCB, I'm not doing anything to put this drive to SATA interface. I will work with it directly through USB host port. If you want, in easy mode, you can select the target drive. Yeah, so it would be the drive where you can copy the information from your source drive. For this case, I would not select anything. We can just skip it and decide where we want to save it later if we need to do it. So the first thing that you can see here is the options to work with the drive. First of all, we need to power it on by clicking this button in the top left corner. Let's give it a couple of seconds for the drive to start rotating, to initialize itself, and to reach the ready state. To check if your drive is in ready state or not, you can right-click the top left part of the screen and refresh drive ID. So after short period of time, we can see all the needed information, all the, let's say, basic information about your hard disk drive. We can see the vendor, we can see revision level, serial number of this drive, and the capacity. In this case, it looks like this drive is, at least right now, in a good condition, because we can see all of this information. There is no strange info in the passport of the drive. We can see the full capacity, which is always a good sign. Because if you have partial capacity, if you have zero capacity, it is definitely a sign of some problem connected with firmware or with the physical part of your hard disk drive. So what else we can do in easy mode? I said that this is the perfect mode for working with diagnostics of the drive. Let's imagine that you don't know anything about this drive. You can click automatic checkup in the left menu and click start. what will happen now? Our software will restart the drive and will start the diagnostic process. It will check if after repowering the drive reaching the ready state again, if there is no problem with interface, if there are any problems with the passport reading, data reading, and so on and on. So let's give it a couple of moments for our software to diagnose it, and let's check the results of it. So what we can see right now after this very quick diagnostics, after this very quick checking procedure, we can see that this drive doesn't have quite a big amount of problems. There are no problems with PCB, with drive ID reading, with repowering. We can see that this drive probably contains user data, but it looks like there is a problem connected with the full capacity access on this drive. And in this case, if you are not sure why this can happen, you can always ask for help of technical support department. We will connect and we will check this case in full feature mode for you, for example. This is exactly what I will try to do. If you can see some issues, if you can see some problems, you can always execute our full feature mode, which is used for working with the most complicated cases, with the most complicated tasks connected with the firmware problems, with the physical problems, and so on and on. So let's open this full feature mode and let's check the behavior of this drive in the next mode. Current mode will be closed. I will start full feature mode. As you can see, I'm still using this hard disk drive, so it's not removing the power when you're switching through the modes. I'm choosing the USB host port again. And here you already can see that there are a lot more buttons, there are a lot more options that you can use for working with this drive. But the first thing that I would like to do is to execute the special utility for this Western Digital drive. We need to choose Western Digital vendor, and we need to choose Western Digital Marvel USB utility. Double click on it to start it. Choose how you want, which part you are working with. I mean USB host port, COM port, or USB port on your PC. This drive is connected to USB host port of PC3000 portable. That's why I will choose this option. I will choose this method right now. And because there are a lot of different families, there are a lot of different types of hard disk drives, in order to work with your particular drive correctly and safely, you need to choose the special utility, the special family for your device. How to do it? You can just click Auto Detect. Our software will communicate with the drive and detect the family for it. This drive is 2.5-inch drive, which I showed you on the camera. It is detecting the needed family, and we can just click Utility Start to start working with this drive. For those who are not familiar with our software, it may look like something like some rocket science or pretty scary writings, but actually it's just some basic information about ROM, about ROM modules, about configurations of the heads of your drive, and if it is possible to get some basic access to the firmware and to the user area of your drive. You can see that there are no errors, there are no red messages or something like this. So this drive, for me at least right now, looks pretty good, looks pretty stable. And what is the first thing that you should do when you work with the real life case? Doesn't matter if it is in bad condition, if it is in good condition. It's always a good idea to execute the backup of the hard disk drive. So you can do it by clicking this button. Our software will automatically create the profile folder based on the information taken from the drive, like its firmware, serial number, module name, and so on and on. Just click OK to create the profile folder, and this is the info that you can save from this drive. You can save ROM information because it is unique, and without ROM the drive will not work correctly. And you can save the modules. Modules is in Western Digital drives, is actually the firmware of your drive. The whole service area of Western Digital drive consists of different modules. And these modules, on the other hand, have information for the correct work of your drive. If some important modules are damaged, your drive will behave abnormal, you will not be able to get access to the user data, and therefore you will need to do some data recovery process, data recovery options need to be performed. So we can execute backup, but I don't want to go in depth in this case. I just want to show you some additional things that you can check before you get access to the data. Backup is important, backup is the needed part of any data recovery process, but right now I just want to show you something else. One of the next important part, let's say, of any hard disk drive, other than the backup and other than the firmware, is the physical structure and the heads themselves. If your heads are damaged, doesn't matter if you have firmware problems, if you doesn't have firmware problems, if you have logical issues, if you don't have logical issues, as long as your physical structure is not very good, you need to, your drive will not work normally, will not work casually. So what you can do to be sure that your drive is physically stable? You can execute heads test. You can execute heads test by clicking this button, and here there will be different options available for you. You can select which heads you want to check. You can select only service heads, for example, or all of them. You can decide if you want to check them only for reading operations or only for writing operations, how much time will the test go, and so on and on. So the possibilities are pretty much limitless when you're working in our software. But for this case, for example, let's test the first two heads. Let's check how they behave, how they perform. When I click OK, as you can see right now, we are doing some writing tests. So we are checking if the heads can write the data. Then we will do reading test. Our software will check if the drive can read the data, which is written in a good way, or if it has some problems with that. So, of course, it makes sense to do the heads test for all of the heads that you have in your drive. But here, in this case, we have 8 heads, and if we start the heads test for all of them, it will take some time for us to wait. But it's not that interesting for you to sit there and check each head one by one. That's why I'm just showing you how it should be done, how you can execute the heads tests, and what are the possibilities for this. So you can check, you can see that head 0 has been already checked. Head 1 has been checked as well, and there are no problems with these two heads. And the same way, you can execute heads tests on any head that you want on your drive. When we work with real life case, when we have, when we think that heads may be damaged, you should always check them before you start working with the copying or imaging procedure. So we check the backup, we check the heads. There are no errors, there are no problems connected with this drive. So let's actually start the copying or imaging procedure on this drive. How we can do it? To do it, we need to open our data extractor window, our data extractor software. What is data extractor? Data extractor is the special software that provides you the possibility to work with user area of your drive, with actually user files, user data that you want to save, that you want to recover. Previously, the special utility is for working with physical part and with firmware part of your case, and data extractor is the software to work with actual user area, actual user data. So let's create a folder for this case. So this is USB HDD. Let's click OK. So this is the folder for your task. All the information about data extractor task will be saved in this folder. We can click next, and now we need to select the device that we want to analyze, that we want to check. It is our PC 3000 USB port. The drive is connected through this port, so we can click next, and our software will base the drive on this, will base the case on this drive. Don't forget to make data copy active, because if you forget to do it, you will not be able to use all the options of data extractor task, all the options and all the features. Here you can select where you want to save your data. If you have a new drive that you want to copy from your old one, you can connect it to any port. It will appear in this menu, and you can use it as the target port, target drive. Or you can use file image, and the data will be saved in the profile folder that you created. Let's click OK. And let's check what else we can do in this case. So this is how our data extractor window looks like. The first thing that you need to do in data extractor task, again, doesn't matter if your drive is in good condition, is in bad condition, you should always start with the building of the heads map. Building of the heads map is crucial part of any data recovery process and any copying or imaging process of your case. Doesn't matter if you work with old hard disk drive, with new hard disk drive, with Helium hard disk drive. Heads map is one of the most important part of any process like this. Because imagine if one of the heads is already damaged or can become damaged during the process of the task. If you forget to do the heads map, if you forget to create the heads map for this case, you will never notice it. You will never understand which exact head is damaged. And if you, for example, start copying procedure and went out of your office, which is not a good idea, but in case if you did it, you can come back and see that drive stopped copying, having some bad noises, some scratching coming from the drive, scratching noises coming from the drive. This can happen if your heads are not in a good condition. And if you start the copying process without turning off the damaged heads or weak heads, this is how you can end up working with the drive. So heads map can help you, first of all, to understand what part of user area, what part of disk, what part of platter is connected to which head. And if during the diagnostics of the drive you notice that one of the heads or more than one of the heads is damaged, you can disable it physically on the drive. And our software will not touch this part of surface, this part of disk, to try to read something from it. So this is extremely important for any data recovery process. And this can help you to work, as I said, with any drive, with Helium drives, with other drives. And it is extremely important not only because of that, but because not all computer repair shops can have clean room or clean box in their laboratory, in their office. And therefore, it's not always possible to open the hard disk drive and inspect the heads or change the heads. So switching the weak or bad head off in data extractor window can help you to bypass such problems that I just mentioned before. So as you can see, our software finished building of the heads map. In this case, we have 8 heads starting from head 0, and the last one is head 7. And in case if we know that, for example, head number 4 or head number 2 is damaged, we can just click on them. They will be grayed out, and this will mean that our software will not touch them, will not work through them and will not save the data from them. So if there are some physical issues, you can switch them off and proceed working with only healthy heads, with only healthy drive. But here, if I click execute copying and open the map, you can see that I'm reading the sectors by which head I'm reading it. If I go to status, we can see the average speed of copying, and it's pretty good, around 70 megabytes. It can go a little bit higher, it can go a little bit lower, depending on where your sector that you are working with, that you are copying right now, is available. And you can see that heads can switch automatically, or if you want to read the data only, for example, from head 0, you can physically switch all of the heads off. Only head 0 will be enabled. You can click execute again, and our software will read the sectors only from head 0. Only from head 0, and this is how you can work with the drive that can have some physical issues on it. If you have the possibility to switch, to do the head swap, you can do it. You can return back to the task and enable only the heads that were damaged in the beginning. For example, you was having only head 2, you was having damage on head 2 and head 6. You can enable only them, press play again. Our software will ask if you want to continue the copying procedure, so it will remember which sectors has been already saved and which sectors are not, and you can click continue and only read the data from these two selected heads. So again, possibilities are limitless. If you have options for head swap, perfect. If you don't have options for head swap, or you are working with helium based drive that cannot be opened in regular studio, in regular laboratory, and even in the most high-end laboratories, you can just switch the damaged heads off and proceed data recovery only via healthy heads without worrying that something can become worse during the copying of your data. So this is the first case that I wanted to demonstrate. A couple of basic diagnostics that you can do, different modes has been demonstrated here. And now let's continue with a little bit more challenging tasks, a little bit more interesting cases, which may end up on your desk as well, because recovering the data after a quick format is extremely popular, and a lot of guys and clients and users of even the most experienced ones can have such problem. I am sure that most of you accidentally at one point quickly formatted their drives and trying to recover data from them. So what is the quick format is about at all? Quick format is the fast process, a very quick process, and the idea of this quick formatting in Windows is to just create a new file system. So make the drive forget the old one and create the new one without actually physically removing all of the data from your drive. Full format, on the other hand, is very slow process. Even if you are working with the high-end hard disk drives, it's still a pretty slow process because it needs to overwrite the whole partition. It needs to overwrite the whole data of your drive physically, sector by sector. So if you use quick format, this is what happens with your data. Before the quick format, this green part of the capacity is where user area was kept, was stored on your hard disk drive. It has both old user data and the file structure metadata available for you. This is how it usually works, yeah, when you connect the drive to your PC. But after quick format on hard disk drives, this is what happens. It is not actually physically rewriting all the data, the big part of your data. It is just putting the new file system metadata over the old one, making the drive think that it is brand new, that it doesn't have any data on it at all, and provide you the possibility to write some data over the over the old ones. So this is how quick format works on media storage devices. In this case, a lot of user data and file system metadata remains on the drive. This metadata can be searched and can be analyzed, making it possible to give you back the access to previous user files and previous folders. So it's not a very complicated task to recover the data on a hard disk drive that has been quick formatted. You just need to analyze the data, you need to analyze the file structure metadata, and after some testings find the old previous data and even recover some file structure from such case. This is possible to do even on some other third-party applications that are available on the market, in the internet. Some of them are free, some of them are not. It's not that complicated, and it's not a big problem, even if you don't have the specific tools for data recovery. And of course, PC3000 systems can also do this job with no problem, with no hesitation. And this is the second case that I want to demonstrate to you right now. So this is the drive that I have in front of me. This is the Samsung hard disk drive, 2.5-inch drive again. It doesn't have USB interface. It is based on SATA interface. And let's check how it behaves when I connect it to our software. So first of all, I need to close our previous task. Give me a second, please. And because I'm working not through USB interface, but through SATA interface, I need to select a different port. So this drive is connected to port 2. It is SATA hard disk drive. It is detected automatically. We can click OK. And we can again power on the hard disk drive, wait a couple of moments for initialization, and as soon as it reach the ready state, we can start working with the drive. First of all, what I want to show you is that if we mount this drive to our Windows operating system by using the universal utility, we can see that this drive actually appeared in our Windows Explorer, and that it is actually empty. It is formatted case after all, so no data is available for you here if you just connect it to your Windows machine. So let's dismount this drive from our Windows machine. This is another, by the way, option of PC3000 if you need to mount it. If you don't want to work directly with your motherboard, you can just connect it to any SATA port and work with this drive in Windows as well. Of course, it's not for data recovery purposes, but just for ease your work with the drives. So let's auto-detect the utility and family that we need to use for this case. It is Samsung Pinpoint utility. It is showing us that we are failed to connect the COM port because with some specific cases like Samsung and Seagate drives, you can work with additional terminal connection, which can give you additional options and additional features for data recovery. But in this case, we don't need it. Our drive can work via SATA. We are just starting the utility. And again, here we can do backup. Here we can check the heads. We can do the heads test. All of it has been explained before, so I will not pay too much attention to it. I just want to show you how you can get access to the data that is not accessible in Windows. So I am creating a new folder for this case. So this case is Samsung HDD format. Okay, click next, choose the SATA port that your drive is connected. Pay attention, previously we were using USB host port, now we are using SATA port. Make data copy and open the data extractor task again. We can create a heads map for this case, but because I know that this drive is physically stable, I would not take your time on it. I just proceed working with this case further. So in Windows, as you remember, when we opened the hard disk drive, it was showing us empty file structure. There was nothing inside of it. Here, if we try to open this hard disk drive, first of all, it will show us that this drive is encrypted. It looks like this drive is having the BitLocker. In such cases, if your drive has some BitLocker, if you know the password or if you know the recovery key, it is possible to proceed working with that. If you don't know the password or you don't know the recovery key, unfortunately, it is impossible to bypass the BitLocker because we are not brute forcing or hacking anything connected with such such encryptions. In this case, it has BitLocker, but actually there is no password for it. So we can just click OK. And if we proceed and try to open the file structure, we will not see anything right here. It is empty, just like our drive in Windows. But we can, as I said, for working with such cases, we can analyze the file structure metadata, we can execute disk analysis, we can do additional tests for getting access to the data that has been previously deleted. This process can take from several minutes to several hours, depending on the different drives. And to just demonstrate you and to show you that physically data is still located on the hard disk drive, we can execute the raw recovery option, raw recovery feature. What is raw recovery all about? Raw recovery is the feature that provides you the possibility to scan each sector one by one and check if it has some data inside. Our software will scan the capacity of your hard disk drive or SSD or flash drive, depending on what you are working with, try to find the headers of the files and try to get access to these files. So even if it looks like data is not available, data is empty, when you start raw recovery, you can see a lot of pictures appearing in the data recovery process. So let's keep it working for a couple of moments just to demonstrate you that data is still physically available for your drive, for you on your drive. So drive only put new file structure metadata. The actual user data is still old, is still previous, and has not been deleted from your case. So if we go to JPEG images, we can see that there are a lot of pictures that we can work with, that we can open, and that we can see what's inside. If you want to do complete data recovery with file structure and so on and on, you need to execute disk analysis, you need to execute searching for metadata, searching for the file structures, and so on and on. As I said, it's not that difficult, it's not that challenging. You can work with different maps, you can work with different partition analysis, and therefore proceed working with the case and recover the full data, especially in cases if it has not been overwritten by other data immediately. So this is how you can work and how you can recover the data from formatted hard disk drives, which are not brand new. So all of these things that I just showed you was possible and was available if we are talking about CMR drives, or the drives that are called that are having conventional magnetic recording. On the market right now, we have a new type of hard disk drives. Actually, it's not brand new. It is available on the market for a couple of years already, and AceLab has a lot of possibilities to work with them. But for those who may be new to this field, I just want to quickly explain what is the difference and why I'm saying that before it was possible to recover cases like this, and it was not a problem even for some third-party applications, but right now it is not. So the difference is in the way how data is stored and how data is recorded on your in your hard disk drives. Old hard disk drives, like the case that I was showing previously, it was having CMR type of technology, conventional magnetic recording. So all the data was written in the lines, in the tracks, and these tracks were not touching each other. As you can see, there is a track, then some place between them, another track, again some some empty part, track, and so on and on. So if you need to compare it with the new technology is a lot more complicated. The way how this works is a lot more challenging, not only for data recovery specialists, but for the drives itself. So this new technology is called SMR, it's shingled magnetic recording, and you can see that the tracks are overlapping each other. That's why it's called shingled. And the problem and the problem with this case, I will explain a little bit later. Currently, if we take a look at the market share of SMR hard disk drives, they are taking around 40% of the market. So CMR is are still very popular hard disk drives, but what we can see in our technical support department and what we can see in electronic stores, more and more SMR drives are appearing, and I think that in future the CMR type of drives will be like 50-50, and then SMR drives will conquer them as well, because SMR technology, even though it is more complicated, it is a lot cheaper to produce, and therefore manufacturers choosing to work with SMR drives more and more. The biggest problem with SMR drives is connected with the way how data is written on them. So if you want to update a few sectors previously, you are working with only one track. You are not touching any other tracks if we speak about CMR drives, conventional magnetic recording drives. In shingle magnetic recording, this is the part of data that you want to change. You just want to change some sectors, some part in this area. But this is how much the drive needs to rewrite in order to change something inside, because of this overlapping, because of the tracks being on top of each other. If you change only one track, you will lose the data on the other one. That's why the drive needs to need to take care of all of these sectors, of all of these tracks and all of these bands that can be changed, that can be touched if you are swapping, if you're changing something inside of your hard disk drive. And this is why these drives are not so, let's say, stable in comparison with older drives. Yes, they have higher capacities, yes, they are cheaper, but they have a lot more problems connected with that. And if we check how SMR hard disk drive works, actually their speeds are pretty good when we speak about reading. And if you are buying SMR drives just for just if you need to write some data on it and then use it only for reading, it's not a problem. When you are not changing something on SMR drives, they are pretty stable. But if you are overwriting something, if you are changing the existing data, first of all, they are very slow, and second of all, they have a tendency to lose some data because of how complicated their magnetic recording is. Just a simple writing to an empty space, it's a lot easier for the drive, it's not a problem for them either. How to check if you having the CMR drive or SMR drive when you don't have enough experience or don't have a lot of time to work with the hard disk drive? The easiest way is to open Crystal Disk Info software and check the features that are available on your drive. As you can see, just looking at the capacity or just looking at the name or model of your drive will not help you to understand if it is CMR or SMR drive. Only having the support for trim command can give you a better understanding if you are working with CMR drives or SMR drives. Trim can only be supported on modern SMR disks, on modern SMR drives. So if you check the Crystal Disk Info and see that you have trim as the feature of your hard disk drive, this is definitely the SMR drive, and you need to be more careful when you are working with that. Why I'm talking about being more careful? As I said, more complicated service area, more complicated firmware of the drive, and that's why even the easiest option like quick format works differently on SMR hard disk drives. It works very close to SSDs. Before quick format, data stays like I explained earlier. Yeah, we have old user data, we have old file system metadata. But after quick format, we are not only writing the new file system metadata to the drive. The drive is showing like it has zeros. It is showing and it is thinking like it has zeros. And if previously, when we open the special software or hardware like PC3000 and we can execute raw recovery, we can execute disk analysis, partition analysis, and search for this old data, for this old information that is written here, in SMR drives, it will be shown like zeros because the drive itself think that this is the zeros because trim operation has been done on this drive and now it is all displayed like zeros. So logical data recovery tools like free data recovery tools or not so powerful data recovery tools will fail after trim because after quick format on modern SMR hard disk drives and SSDs, we don't have anything left connected with the previous file structure, with the previous file system, and with the previous data. So because of this trim operation, nothing can be saved from SMR hard disk drives if you try to work with them logically. But with the help of PC3000 solutions, because we have the possibility to work on the lowest level possible with the hard disk drive, because we have the possibility to work on the CPU level, on the firmware level with the media storage device, it is possible for us to recover even such case. And now I would like to demonstrate you it. I need to open another window of PC3000 software. I have the Western Digital drive in front of me, SATA interface, so again, no need to use USB port. I am connecting it to port number 1. Powering on the drive. And again, if I go to WinDisk and mount the drive, it will be displayed like it's an empty drive. But even more importantly, if we open the special utility, if we find the family for this drive, if we create the data extractor task based on this drive, what will happen? Previously, as I showed you, data, at least raw recovery has been possible on this drive, SMR HDD format. We are choosing SATA 1, make data copy, so everything is the same. I'm not doing anything new right now. I'm trying to get access to the data the same way like I did with the previous drive. So again, I'm going to file system, I'm trying to open it. There is a data, but it is the new data. The data, the way how data looks like after the formatting of the drive. If I execute raw recovery, in this case, I will find some data of the new file system, like master boot, some NTFS indexes and NTFS structures, but no other data, because all data inside this hard disk drive is actually filled with zeros. You can see this is the master boot, and after the master boot, all the data is zeros. Doesn't matter if I go to the beginning of the drive or if I go somewhere closer to the middle, data is zeroed. No data is available for you. You will not be able to execute disk analysis, you will not be able to execute partition analysis, because there is nothing to be based on. There is no information that can help you to get access to the previous file structure. But with the help of PC3000 software and with the help that we can work on the lowest level possible with the drive, it is actually possible to recover even such complicated cases. How you can do it? You need to close this task. You need to go back to your utility, and you need to do the backup. You need to scan the the service area part for the modules, and especially for the second level translator module, because this module is actually right now the most important module on your SMR drive, because with the help of analyzing this module, you can find the data connected with the previous file structures, because this module is pretty big, it is extremely complicated, and with the help of our technology, we can analyze it and we can find some links to the previous data that is still available on the drive. So data just looks like it is zeroed. Physically, it is still there, but even the drive does not understand it until we perform some options and some features. So what we need to do? We need to do the full backup, and we need to save the T2 module or module 190. I already did it before this demonstration case. So in order for us to finish this case, we just need to switch this drive to reading the data in PBA mode, or reading the data by physics, not by logic like we usually do when we work with the drives, but by physics, and create a new data extractor task. I will do it in the same profile folder. I will just name it SMR HDD format 2. And now I will not use PC3000 SATA 1. I will use PC3000 utility, because right now we switched the drive to the special mode which can help us to execute the reading not like drive thinks it is, but by playing with the module 190, playing with this second level translator, and playing with the different versions of it. So we need to execute PC3000 utility because of that, because drive right now is prepared in the utility. If we execute it like we used before, it will again show us only zeros. So we need to do exactly the same things. And here you will see exactly the same scenario. So you will see empty, that there is nothing to be read here. But if we go to working with the utility, and if we click restoring the second level translator, by choosing the backup of your translator and uploading it to the task, our software can analyze it, can scan the data of this translator and find the links to the previous file structure, to the previous data that has been written on this hard disk drive. So even though the new translator that is being used by the drive thinks that there is no data, it is still having some links to the previous one. We can see a new virtual drive appeared on our screen, and if we open it, it will just show us again formatted file structure, just like in previous case. But if we go to edit, and if we right click our NTFS file system and use selection versions of for metadata, because we analyzed the translator, right now we have not only the metadata for the new file system, but we found the data for the old one as well. And now by scanning it, by analyzing it, we can get access to previously deleted data and previously formatted case. So let's give it a couple of moments for analysis. As you can see, right now our software replacing the chains from new file system with the old one. And theoretically, we should be able to see the previous folders and previous data available after this process. So it's almost done. Of course, it depends, and of course, from case to case, it may take a little bit faster, it can be a little bit longer, depending how much time has passed since the formatting, depending on if some data has been overwritten, and so on and on. So each case for data recovery is unique, but if you know the approach, if you know how to work with them, if you understand the idea and the logic, how it works, you should be able to bypass a lot of problems. So this process is almost done. And here we can see that our previous folders and previous files appearing on our file system. To be sure that they are good, we can execute headers control, and we can see that actually these folders can be opened. Actually, there are a lot of data inside. If we go to pics, if we go to pictures, we can not only see them, but we can open them, we can save them, we can do whatever we want with them. And even more importantly, sometimes it is not possible to put all the data in the correct order, in the correct folder, and so on and on. So some data may become, you may not open a lot of data, but you can go to versions and you can see that there are different versions that you can play with in order to find better result. So if automatic solution is not working for you, you can play with the manual versions assembly and get access to a lot more data. Again, if automatic solution did not work for you. So right now, if we go back and if we refresh these results, our file system is again available for us. We can save it, we can image it, we can copy the data from the drive. But remember that this solution that I'm showing at the moment is done by physics. Yeah, so we are working, this solution is performed in RAM. If you want, and the speed of data recovery will not be maximum speed. So if you want to proceed working regularly with this case, you need to upload and write this changed second level translator back to the drive, and therefore work on the maximum possible speeds for copying and imaging procedure. But again, just not to go too in depth, I did not show and mention how you can do it. So this is finally the end of my part of this presentation. Thank you very much for attention. If you have any questions, please write them in chat, and after the end of our presentations, yeah, we will answer as many questions as possible. So now I'm passing my word back to Roman, and we will talk about the SSD field right now. Thanks a lot, and see you.
We are going to continue right now. Thank you, George, for showing us how PC3000 is working with hard disk drive, but right now I'm going to continue and show you what PC3000 can do with the SSDs. Because again, solid-state drives, they become more and more popular, and a lot of different brands, a lot of different controllers which are located in the SSDs are on the market. And right now we are going to show you how PC3000 technology may be useful when you are dealing with damaged SSDs. And first of all, I'm going to show you a pretty interesting example. It's going to be a data SSD. You can see it like this, just a common 2.5 inch SSD that I'm going to connect and show you what is the problem with this drive and how we can bypass the problem which is happening with this SSD, and what we can do with the SSD to reach access to user data. First of all, I can say that SSD recovery, in my opinion, is much more easier than hard disk drive recovery, because the steps that you are going to perform to reach the data will be almost the same between different brands and different controllers. Utilities looks very similar, approach looks very similar, so let's see how we can try to diagnose the drive and how we can reach access to user data. First of all, let me connect this 2.5 inch drive to PC3000 portable. And now let me launch the software, the PC3000 software. So I'm going to share my screen right now. And I'm starting the PC3000 portable. I'm going to use port number 0. And here, when I will set it up, you can see the list of supported SSD brands. So the interface of PC3000 is pretty simple, because here we got the number of SSD vendors, and here we got the utilities, special sub-programs for different type of SSD controller. For example, for this brand, for this Apacer, we got utility for Maxio-based controller, for Silicon Motion controller, and for Phison controller. Controller is the main chip which is located on the SSD PCB, and actually we're going to communicate with this main chip to reach access on the NAND memory chips, which are located also on the PCB. And first of all, that I'm going to do, I'm going to start the power supply on our drive. And here in ATA registers, I can see that drive reach DRD and DSC register. It means that right now drive is in ready state, so we can communicate with them. With this drive, we also can see the power consumption on this drive, and you can see that actually 5 volts are going to be loaded right now, so we are powering the drive. And when I launch in the universal utility, we can see that our SSD jump into busy state. It means that for some reason controller stays in busy and it's not possible to read passport ID, it's not possible to read the drive capacity, it's not possible to get any data from this drive. Actually, this is the most typical problem when the drive is absolutely not detectable in BIOS, in operating system, when we connect the drive. So if I will connect this drive directly to my computer, I will see that there is no any device connected, because again, this drive contains some serious internal corruption, internal problem. And again, if I will try to force the utility in passport ID field, I will see nothing. No capacity, no passport information, just empty information that drive ID has not been read. And actually, as I mentioned before, this is one of the most typical problem related with the SSD. And why it happened? It happened because the NAND memory chips, the modern SSD drive memory chips, have a very, very bad quality. As the result, the data which is located on the NAND memory chips, including the drive firmware, start to be corrupted after some time of SSD usage. This thing happened with our SSD. As you can see, firmware is not loading, internal operating system of this SSD is not working, and drive stays in busy. So no any communication between the drive and PC 4000 right now. So how we can bypass this problem? First of all, we need to start a proper utility for this drive, and we know that our drive is this is ADATA, so we need to choose the ADATA utility and select our target Silicon Motion controller, because actually if I will open the SSD and I will read the marking of controller, I can see that the manufacturer of controller is Silicon Motion. So I'm going to set it up, but we can see the drive stays in busy. It's still not possible to read any ID, but it's not a problem. So we are forcing the utility. And here we need to select the target controller name and SSD family. So we choose controller, we choose SSD family, and right now we are ready to start the drive initialization. And our software will tell you what to do to force this drive initialization, how we can return back this previously dead SSD into life. And here we can see the picture with the guide which pin we need to short on the drive PCB. That's why I'm going to use classic tweezers, just a normal tweezers. I'm going to short the drive PCB like marked on the picture, and after that we will try to upload our loader. Loader is some kind of a modified firmware of this SSD, which was researched by AceLab developers. It was improved, some front processes have been deactivated, something become activated, so it's some kind of a custom firmware that we are going to load into drive RAM. We are not going to write anything on the NAND memory chip, but we are going to write the data into the drive RAM. And before I'm doing this, we need to isolate the controller from the NAND memory chip. Because what happened now? When we're launching the power supply, controller trying to read the firmware which is located on the NAND memory chip. But NAND memory chip contains damaged firmware. As the result, drive becomes stuck, it goes into busy and into the loop of firmware uploading, error, reset, firmware uploading, error, reset, and so on, so on, so on. So this process should be interrupted somehow. And safe mode pins shorting is one of the way how we can disable access to the NAND memory chip. After that, we will start to work with the controller, and it would be possible to load the custom firmware on this drive. And what I'm going to do is to short the drive into safe mode, like on the picture. So I need to put the tweezers on and press next. You can see that drive become powered on, and if we did all steps correctly, now we can see the drive become partially initialized. For example, now we can read some basic information about this SSD, like model name, like drive capacity, like firmware version, and like what type of memory chip were installed on this SSD. And we can see that actually this drive is based on Micron chip. The Micron NAND memory chips being installed on this drive PCB, so we are ready to load our custom firmware, which is called loader. Now we are able to select the target firmware, which is already selected by here. So let's press yes. And we are loading the loader into the drive firmware. Sorry, into the drive RAM. This custom firmware being uploaded into the drive RAM. And we can see here that drive become initialized. We are able to read the whole drive capacity now. And we are also able to read information about the drive firmware, number of memory chips, total drive capacity, a real drive capacity, because again, this drive contains 128 gigabyte capacity, but consists of 3 memory chips, here they are, by 52 gigabyte each chip. So we can see that the real SSD capacity is higher than passport ID capacity. It happened because these SSDs usually storing some relocated sectors, some reserved area, some firmware into additional space, which is usually hidden from normal mode, from customer who's using this drive. But this area is still available for us when the drive is working, being connected to PC3000. So we are able to read the whole area of all NAND memory chips, including the firmware part, including the internal service blocks, relocated blocks, and so on. And of course, what we are going to do now? Now we need to do the same step as we usually do when we are working with damaged SSDs. We need to reconstruct the damaged firmware, because again, this SSD contains the main problem, damaged firmware, and we need to reconstruct it. We need to rebuild the part of the firmware which called the translator. Translator is some kind of a part of the firmware which address physical NAND memory chips into logical sectors. And using the translator regeneration process, our utility will automatically read the service blocks and will reconstruct the translator that will help us to reach the data. Because without translator, SSD doesn't know where the logical sectors are, where the files are, and we are going to reconstruct it right now. For doing this, we usually do the same operation as before. As usual, we are rebuilding the translator. Of course, the technological mode and PC4000 utilities allows you to do a lot of different things with the SSDs. Like, for example, it allows you to read the memory chip IDs, read the DAMs of memory chip without the chip off. It allows you to refurbish the SSD drive with complete firmware rewriting and data erasing, and do some other interesting things. But basically, in most of the cases, we simply use the technological mode to restore the original firmware. And that's what I'm going to do right now. So I am start the translator regeneration, and our utility will automatically read the internal service area blocks, which contains information about relocated sectors, about some firmware parts, about some information like growing error list, primary error list, and so on. And after that, when the process would be complete, it would be possible to check the drive data access. So we're going to save all these resources from the SSD into the drive profile, which is located on our computer. And now let's wait. Usually translator building speed depends on the drive capacity. It depends on the number of memory chips and on the drive condition. So if the SSD contains a lot of bad sectors, if it contains a pretty bad NAND memory chips, of course, this process will require more time. But right now, I can say that this SSD is not so bad. It contains just 128 gigabyte capacity, so the translator building should take maybe just a couple of minutes, so it's not a problem. And at this moment, you can see that our utility already reads some important service area modules, some kind of tables with relocated sector information, with a reserved area information, with real data information, and using the combination of all of these modules, it becomes possible to regenerate the part of the firmware which called the translator. And let's wait a bit to reach access to the user data. And one of the most interesting thing is that actually all SSDs are going to be recovered with the same way. So if the drive is not detectable, or if it's showing the wrong passport ID or wrong capacity, we can try to short the drive into safe mode, find special pins on the drive PCB to block access to NAND memory chip. And after that, we can use the technological mode and PC3000 to regenerate the damaged firmware, the part of the firmware loaded into the drive RAM, and reach access to user data using the file explorer. So that's why, in my opinion, SSD recovery is pretty easily than hard disk drive recovery, because for hard disk drive I can say that we get more options what we need to do with damaged drive, but for SSDs steps are almost the same. Another good thing is that PC3000 can help you to recover data from the SSD even if it's not supported. I mean, even if there is no utility for the drive, because we can try to diagnose the SSD, we can try to analyze the condition of the drive, what's wrong with this SSD, and using the temperature influence, using the heating of the NAND memory chip, using some kind of a technique of NAND memory chip cooling and freezing, it becomes possible to reach access to user data even if the drive is not officially supported. Right now, the list of supported drive is pretty large, but let's say, the number of SSDs become bigger and bigger after every PC4000 update, because ASLAB engineers adding more and more different configurations of the controllers, of the NAND memory chips, and they are filling the database of supported SSDs. So in case if your drive for some reason is not supported, it's not a problem, it's not a dead end, because again, using technology of heating or freezing the NAND memory chips, it's still possible to reach access to user data, even if the drive is not completely supported. Maybe it's going to be our next topic for the next webinar session, how we can use the temperature to reach the data on unsupported SSDs. It's going to be very interesting. Some people are using their refrigerators to freeze their SSD memory chips. Some of them are using some preheater station with hot air gun and some radiators to heat up the NAND memory chip. But again, we should use this approach only if the drive is officially not supported, or probably if it's not supported, but due to the serious internal firmware degradation, it's not possible to communicate with the SSD. All right, so right now we are almost complete to build the translator. The copy of translator is going to be saved into the profile. So next time, if you will decide to work with the same SSD drive, you will not spend any additional time, because the translator has been already saved into the drive profile, and we can find the part of the firmware like here. This is the translator. If I will open it in binary, you can see that this translator will include some hex information. It's not, let's say it's not readable for us, but it's clearly good for our utility, because using the information about the blocks, about the location of data, it became possible to get the complete folder structure. Then last step that we need to do with this drive, simply go to data extractor and see the, and make a new task to see the folder structure. Okay, let me set it up. So here we can see our connected drive, which is connected to PC3000 utility. We're going to select it. We can do an imaging to another drive connected to PC4000 or another drive connected to our desktop or laptop computer. We can do a copy on a network drive. It doesn't matter. So for now, for example, I'm simply make a copy into the task folder, which was created on my local hard drive. Let's try to expand the folder structure, and you can see that right now data is available, and we also can get some information about the internal structure of this drive. And also we can try to launch the raw recovery and use the file carving to find some file headers which are located at these SSDs and recover them as well. But in general, you can see that drive folder is available. We can start to save it into our local computer or into any other path. But in general, data is available, and we can try to reach access to user data, which is right here. So pictures are opening. We can read here the date of creation of this file and so on. But again, as soon as you will switch off the power on this drive, SSD will return back into original state when it was corrupted. But using the opportunity to load the previously built translator, it's still possible to repeat the same steps and reach access to user data. All right, so this is about the damaged SATA drive. And now let me show you what we can do with damaged NVMe drive, because actually we can say that NVMe SSDs become more and more popular. And now in my hand you can see a small NVMe drive. This is M.2 with M.2 key, and this drive is based on Hewlett-Packard HP technology. So let's try to connect this drive using special adapter from the PC4000 portable kit, and let's see what's wrong with this SSD, because probably this drive contains some serious corruption, as well as the previous one based on A data. And again, I'm going to start the utility after I will connect the drive to my PC4000. And let's get started. So I'm starting the software one more time. And here I need to choose port 0, and I need to select which port is connected, because previously it was SATA, now probably it's PCI Express. So let's press on Auto Detect button, and we will see that this drive is PCI Express NVMe drive. So we are ready to work with it. Guys, I can see that you are asking me some questions. Please don't worry, I will answer on all of them. So please ask me, because our moderator for today, Yana, she will transfer all these questions into special Google Doc, and I will open it after my presentation will be over, and I will provide an answers on all your questions. So please don't be afraid, I am with you. So the same steps, we got here the list of supported SSD utilities, and when I launching the power supply, we can see that drive is going to be powered on. We can see that there is some power consumption on 5 volts line. And if I launch the universal utility to see how this drive will be detected, if I will simply connect it to my computer, I will see that this drive will be just partially initialized, because instead of a full capacity that should be around 128 gigabyte, and instead of a complete Hewlett-Packard model name, I can see here just SM2263. I can see here the capacity is around 1 gigabyte and there is no data. If I will try to reach access to user data, I will not be able to see any files which are located on this drive. So let me show you. I am choosing the NVMe port. I am trying to make a new task in data extractor, and let's see what I will see here. So I am opening the folder structure, and I can see here that there is nothing, just some garbage, just some pattern which simply repeating, but there is no any user data on this drive. And again, what is that? Actually, this is one of the most typical problem related with the SSD, the firmware corruption. Drive stays in busy state by itself, I mean the previous drive, but this drive is able to read the passport ID. The only problem is that there is no data and passport is not complete. This problem also happened because the drive contains a damaged firmware. Without a good firmware, without the complete drive initialization, it's not possible to reach the user data which is located on this SSD. And again, what we need to do? We need to launch special utility for current drive model name. Actually, we can use two ways how we can do that. First of all, we can try to find the drive which is based on our vendor name and model name. So our drive is HP and our model name is HP EX900. But to be honest, it's not important to do because we can we can select the target utility using the grouping by controller name. And right now we support a lot of different controller names, a lot of different models of SSDs, but actually this version of software is the current one. The next one will bring more of the controllers, but let's try to use Silicon Motion SM2263XT utility, which is universal. So it doesn't matter what is the brand of your SSD drive, because you are able to recover data using the universal controller utility, because we are reaching access not to SSD drive brand, but to the controller name. It's more important for us. And I'm going to select it. Then I'm going to proceed. You can see that selected family is incorrect, but we don't care about it because the controller is correct. Controller name is the same, which is printed on the main chip on the PCB. And I'm going to select it. And here again, we are going to get some basic drive diagnostic here. We can read that this drive is also based on Micron chips. So I'm going to select the target loader. And when we will initialize this drive, it would be possible to get some additional information about this SSD. And again, you can read here that current SSD contains 4 physical chips by 36 gigabyte each memory chip. We can see here that this drive, as I mentioned before, based on Micron memory chips. And what we can do in this case? Again, we can try to rebuild the translator. But as I mentioned before, sometimes due to the physical corruption of the PCB or due to the high temperature of the controller or NAND memory chip, the NAND memory chip could become disconnected. And in this case, drive will work like this. So it will show you the wrong capacity, the wrong passport ID. It will be detectable incorrectly in BIOS, in operating system. And to bypass this issue, we need to be sure that all NAND memory chips are connected well to the PCB of this drive. That's why we can try to use the NAND memory chip test to calculate the real drive capacity and compare this capacity with the chip ID information. How we can do that? We need to open the calculator and let's try to calculate. So we know that our drive capacity is 128 gigabyte. 128 gigabyte. So we got 4 chips with 36 to 88 megabyte. we are reading 4 chip IDs, so we are multiplied on 4, and we get capacity which is actually even more than real passport ID capacity for this drive. It happened because, as I mentioned before, SSD is storing some additional blocks for data relocating, for firmware, for service blocks, for service area, and that's why real drive capacity usually on 10 or 20%, even more than physical capacity, which is printed on the marking of SSD model. And now we can say that everything is fine and all chips are fine, everything is good, and SSD is in a good condition. But sometimes one of the chip could become disconnected, and this test can show us that this drive may have a problem with the NAND memory chip. If we got a problem with the memory chip disconnection, the only thing we need to do, just try to take a hot air gun or infrared station, drop some flux near the controller or near the NAND memory chip and warm them. BGA contact will become melt and restored for better connection between memory chip and PCB. Usually this problem is typical again for technical support department, because we got a lot of drives which have the problem like this. Due to the bad contact, one of the memory chip or one memory chip layer become disconnected, and high temperature and heating may help to restore the contact. So again, what we need to do? The same as I showed you before, we need to rebuild the translator, the part of the firmware. And for doing that, I am starting to make a new drive profile. I am going to read the drive internal marking. This is HP EX900. And I am going to save all necessary service information blocks into the drive profile. After that, our utility will do the rest, and we will completely reconstruct the damaged translator. So let's wait a bit. Of course, due to the NAND memory chip degradation, due to the bad quality of NAND memory chip, sometimes some errors may arise, but in general, we will reach the data. The only problem is that some sectors could be still bad sectors, and we will need to use the data rereading with hot air gun or with freezing to fix these bad sectors. So let me launch the data extractor explorer to show you the data which appear after the translator rebuild. So previously you saw that there is no any data, but now after we rebuild the translator, partition become openable, and I can open it and I can see the data which is located here, and I even can open some pictures or some files which are located inside the root catalog of this SSD. So more or less, but it looks pretty good and working. And again, now we can start copying process. We can try to image this drive, like save all folders and files, or we can image this drive into another SSD connected to PC3000 or connected to your computer, because sometimes when customer bring his laptop, of course he would like to not just repair his laptop and recover data, but if possible make this laptop to be fully working. That's why using a complete drive imaging with the system partition, with Windows operating system, it becomes possible to make a bootable drive which will load the Windows and which will keep working like before the problem appear with the laptop. So this opportunity to make a sector by sector copy from recovered SSD is very valuable, because again, you can recover not just data, but also operating system, boot sectors, master boot sectors, and so on, which could be very useful in some cases. All right, so we are almost out of time, so let's complete the presentation info. And here we are going to talk a bit about additional things of AceLab. First of all, we would like to say that we provide the training, both offline and online training. So if you are interested to see how the PC4000 technology is working, how we can recover data from real life cases, you can visit one of our one-day online training, and our tutor will teach you how to recover data by your hand. We got computers, we got AnyDesk remote support, so we connect the hard disk drive, you connect to our computer, and you are using your hand to recover data from PC4000, using PC4000 from damaged drive. It's a pretty good training that allows you to understand better how PC4000 technology is working and decide how interesting or probably how complex is it to recover data using PC4000 tool. Also, we provide a very good technical support service, and we're using the CRM system that allow us to accept the tickets, accept the new requests. And again, as I mentioned before, using the technical support, we're able to connect to your computer and using our experience help you to recover data. Also, we provide a regular software update, approximately 2 or 3 updates per year, and every new update will include the new SSD drives, the new hard disk drive, the new functions, the new opportunities for previously unsupported drives, and of course for previously supported drives. So this is a good bundle which goes in a pair with PC4000 when you are purchasing it during your first time. And also we got a very useful blog where we post an interesting article regarding the hard disk drive topic, regarding the SSD rates, some common topics, and so on. Most of the articles inside this blog are opened, so you can visit our blog and read some articles how to use our technology. Or if you are the PC4000 owner, we help you to pass the registration on blog and read some closed articles which are available only for PC4000 users. And again, with the help of PC4000 technology, we hope that we can help you to expand your business and turns your PC repair shop into PC repair shop plus data recovery service. And again, AceLab will be with you, and we are not going to leave you alone in the field of data recovery.
Okay, we need to wind up. Our time is up. Yes. Roman, thank you so much for your detailed replies to all the questions. Thanks to all the guys who were with us with AceLab today. We hope you liked the webinar. We hope you enjoyed it really. And we hope that you seriously think about enhancing your business with data recovery with the professional tools like PC3000. So feel free to contact us. You know where to find us. Contact your personal sales assistant, or just email us at sales@aclab.io.com. Feel free to ask your questions. We were happy to see you here, and see you next time.
Thank you guys, thank you for your attention. I really hope you find something useful for you during this webinar. And let's see, probably we will make another one shortly in the nearest future. So see you in technical support department. Bye.
Bye-bye.